Hi, welcome back with Miss Curdy for another video. This is on topic 3-4, 7 as a factor. And before we begin, let's just review what you did in the last lesson with 6 as a factor. And we thought of 6 as a factor. Instead of just thinking about it as a 6, we thought of it as a 5 and a 1. And we went through breaking up that 6 into a 5 plus a 1, so that we were able to skip count by 5s and then add one more group. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at 7 as a factor. And it has a very, very similar strategy. But instead of thinking of 5 groups plus 1 group, we actually are going to have 5 groups plus 2 groups, because that 7 can be thought of as a 5 plus a 2. So let's take a look at what that would look like visually. Here I've got my 7 groups with 4 in each. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking it up and doing this part first, and then adding on 2 more groups. Again, I can skip count by 5s, which is a really fast and efficient strategy. And then multiplying by 2 is just my doubles facts. Down here, we have another example, 7 groups of 7. I can look at it and handle that 5 groups of 7 first, skip counting by 5, because that's a really easy factor. And then I have my 2 groups of 7. So when I go through and I solve both of these, 5 times 4 would give me 20, and 2 times 4 would give me 8. And therefore I know my product is going to be 28. Down here, if I skip count by 5 7 times, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And then when I double my 7, I get 14. And this comes down to solving 35 plus 14. And if I use my standard algorithm, I can solve that very quickly to get a product of 49. Again, this is a strategy that takes some practice and it takes some thinking about, so you will need to refer back to your notes as you work through this topic. So down here, when I'm doing 7 times 8, I can think of it as a 5 times 8, which would give me 40 when I skip count, and then 2 times 8, I just think of my doubles facts, and then it comes down to adding 40 plus 16, which I can either mentally do in my head, or I can write down off to the side using the standard algorithm to get my final product. Let's try this a couple of times. I'll walk you through the first one. When I see that 7, I'm thinking 5 and 2. So I can think 5 times that 3 and then 2 times that 3. 5 times 3, if I skip count, I get 5, 10, 15. And 2 times 3 would be doubled to get 6. And to find my final product, I would do 15 plus 6. And that brings me to 21. So 3 times 7 is 21. If you're feeling ready, why don't you pause the video and try to solve 7 times 9 using this strategy, and then I will meet you right back here. All right, let's take a look at 7 times 9. And again, I'm going to think of my 7 as a 5 and a 2, and I'll do 5 times 9 and then 2 times 9. When I skip count by 5s, I'm going to end up with 45. And when I double my 9, I get 18. And then when I go through and I add these up, I get 8 plus 5 is 12, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 8 plus 5 is 13. And then I add them up and I get my product of 63. All right, let's try one more. Let's try a 7 times 6. We haven't done that one yet. So in this case, looking at both of these factors, I can actually make the decision. Do I want to use my 6 strategy, where I think of it as 5 groups of 7 and then 1 group of 7? Or should I use my 7 strategy, where I think of it as 5 groups of 6 plus 2 more groups of 6? Since we are practicing 7 as a factor, let's go ahead and use our 7 as a factor and think about it as a 5 and a 2. So at this time, you can pause the video and give this one a try on your own, and meet me back here for the final answer. All right, so in this case, I'm going to do 5 times 6 and a 2 times a 6. And remember that 6 stays the same, and this 5 came from, this 5 and this 2 came from the 7. 5 plus 2 is still 7. When I skip count by 5 6 times, I get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And here I'm going to use my doubles facts. 2 groups of 6 is going to give me 12. And when I add those together, I get my final product of 42. Always remember to look at both factors to decide which strategy would be the easiest. For example, 7 times 4, I know I can do my double-double to get my answer. And now I also know I can do a 5 times 4 and a 2 times a 4. So always look at both factors to get your best possible strategy that works for you. Take a moment to kind of look over your notes before you start your practicing of 7 as a factor, and anytime you get stuck, you can go back and check them out. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a really great day.